Summer series.
Hi everyone.
Hi everyone.
Welcome to our Homeschool to College summer series.
Yeah, there we go. That's it. That's what it is.
And we're so excited to be here.
Yeah, and this is our first episode, and we are focusing on
Middle school.
Middle school.
Which is important, but also isn't important for college.
I know, it's kind of weird that, I felt like it was really important that we do this and have an episode that is focused on middle school, because there are some things that people do that we want to talk about, but that you can do. But mostly I think we want to talk about why not to stress as much.
Actually, why to enjoy it.
Yes.
It's such a great age.
It's actually why to, this is the last chance you have. And there are a few things, which we'll talk about in a second, like that you can do to kind of get a head start on, getting ready for long-term, having a college-ready kid. But it's the last chance to do whatever you feel like. There are no rules for most of it. And, other than your state laws, please follow your state laws. But right. No, but it is, you can do whatever you want.
And also, your kid can do whatever they want.
Yes.
Let them explore, let them go do little projects and anything that catches their interest. And even if it's just 6 weeks here and 6 weeks there, and let them go crazy.
It's the last chance you have to be like, oh, so-and-so, the homeschool teacher locally is holding this class and it sounds really cool, but it's only for 2 weeks. Like, do it. Like, there's no harm, no foul.
Drop everything if you have to.
Yeah, you can drop it if it's not working. You can, I do think this is your is there something that you really wanted your child to be exposed to? This is your chance to do that. Is there something that your kid really wants a chance to explore? There's time to do it.
To see if they're interested in it.
To see if they're interested in it.
Like maybe you have a kid that's like, oh, I really want to do engineering, but they've really never done anything related to engineering.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Go do a bunch of stuff right
Definitely
now.
do it. And this is also, I think some parents worry like, oh no, but I need to be on track so that my kid is ready for high school biology or high school, U.S. history or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But those subjects start at square one.
Yeah.
Like they really do start at square one. All the content in high school starts at square one. So it helps to have previous exposure to that content. Like you do have a leg up. Exposure just means
different.
And it's cumulative because it's your whole education that your kid has had up to that point. So there's not specific things you need to do. Part of the reason for that is that different states and private schools also are using different curricula and different approaches. And each course has to be ready to take kids and take them from point A to point Z, and everything in between.
X.
Yeah, exactly.
They really get to Z.
Yeah, that's true. They always give up. They give up around W.
Yeah, W.
But it just to take them all the way through.
Yes.
The content. And
that's different for math.
It
obviously.
is. Yes.
And
foreign language.
Too.
Well, so English,
you just want to have some skills.
Yeah, so math and English, math, your child should have taken Algebra 1 in middle school, and really they're better off if they do, if they're college bound.
If there's no issues or anything like that.
And I think we always have to preface with that you should take your kids' individual issues in mind. If they have a learning disability or a physical health issue that is holding them at definitely take those things in mind and don't stress. There's always more time.
That's why you homeschool.
Yep, exactly.
To meet their needs. But generally speaking,
Algebra 1 in middle school, and of course some kids are advanced, they need to do more.
Yeah.
And then some kids, just aren't ready yet, and they end up doing Algebra 1 in ninth grade. That's
Which is fine.
Totally fine, especially if they're not aiming towards being an engineer or computer scientist.
Some kids do the first half of Algebra 1 and
then the second half.
All that works.
Yeah, and there's ways to, you can add a math in the summer or do a half, semester, the whole credit in a semester thing. There's some possibilities.
I feel like we're getting really far off.
I know. Well, okay, but for English,
so much you can do.
There's many possibilities. So I guess just the gist of it is, ideally, do Algebra 1 in 8th grade. If you can.
If you're student.
But there's possibilities.
Yes.
And then also, by the end of 8th grade, I think a student should be able to write an essay.
Again, different levels.
And it's okay if there's some support involved. And it's okay if like you need to help them structure it a little
Right.
bit.
It depends on the kid again.
And some kids are writing books. Like, so it's a little all over the map.
This is just all general.
Yeah.
But being exposed to it.
Yes. And just the idea of what an essay is and how to sort of organize an essay around a thesis. And just a basic persuasive essay.
Practice it a couple times.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Just so when you get to
have done that
your
in
high school course.
That's it. Like those, and
then
be able to read, and read. No, but I mean, be able to read a book and discuss it.
Yes, definitely. I just wanted to say also, though,
it.
you can start a foreign language in middle school.
Yes.
And you can actually get that credit.
But this is the thing about credits is that some parents that we talk to, they've tried to front load a ton of credits into middle school. It does not look good. No. I mean, if your kid is really that advanced, there's other ways to meet their needs.
First of all, though, if your kid's that advanced, it'll show up on the high school transcript, so you don't have to put like English 1 honors from middle school, English 2 honors from middle school, and then
it undermines your transcript.
Yeah, and there's no reason for it. They're not going to take those credits.
No, they're not gonna take it very seriously.
No.
And colleges still want to see that your student did English and math, particularly all the way through.
4 years.
For all 4 years. And they also aren't going to take seriously basic requirements from middle school. And then if your student is actually advanced in those ways, like maybe they should take, high school biology in middle school if they're interested, because then they can take AP biology in high school.
And
then
that's
they'll
the whole,
see.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like
they'll have
see
built
it
on it.
If you're taking AP bio in 9th or 10th, they're going to assume the student had bio sometime previously.
Yes, like a high school
level
biology.
That's just going to be an assumption.
It'll be obvious. Yeah, and so
you don't
need to put it. It undermines them.
Or one thing that I'm shocked to see, but I shouldn't be. I mean, I understand because parents don't know, but it's like a general physical science or something from 8th grade, and they want to give a credit for it.
No, don't do that. No, and again, that's the same thing as like high school biology. Maybe taking a really high quality physical science, which is generally physics and chemistry.
Yeah, it's an intro. Yeah.
Maybe if you do that in middle school, if it's really good and your kid is advanced in math, maybe they can go right into AP Chem or AP Physics 1. That's really useful.
Which again, this
for an
advanced
advanced student, right? But then the other thing I would say is that's one way to address a student who is advanced and is ready.
And this is why we wanted to have this conversation, because there's something very important here. Let me ask you, okay, you have an advanced student, right? Very advanced, going beyond what you feel you can offer in middle school. And
most middle schoolers would be.
What do you do? Do you just start giving them the highest level math, push them into APs early? What do you do?
So I think no. Like one way is to have them do some of that,
right?
Because sometimes that's what they really need. But sometimes it's better to go deep and sideways. Yeah, let them try different things. I think both of those are good. I mean,
together.
Go really deep and let them really kind of do research and do a big project, let them build things and whatever the interest is. And then another way, but don't worry about getting the credit,
right?
Because that's not helping. But another possibility is, let them try a different subject entirely, so that they're not sort of pointed narrowly at one thing.
Expose. Let them try different things. Let them go deep.
This is why gifted providers exist. Where so
especially
places in middle school. Yeah, this is why places that have gifted education, like Athena's or CTY, Johns Hopkins CTY, that providers like that give kids in-depth topics to tackle without sort of front-loading like APs all the way into 8th grade or something.
It's really unnecessary. And actually, I think if you go to CTY and you look at their courses, the APs aren't open to middle schoolers.
That's correct.
Yeah, and there's a reason for that.
Yes.
And actually, the middle school courses, some of them at CTY, are really fun and interesting.
Oh no, they're really they're in depth.
Yeah,
they challenge kids. They challenge kids. They're like, it's like taking a college seminar, but it's all kids who are gifted, who are doing that type of work. And you can do the same thing, where you get like, if the kid needs it, get college materials, like genuinely do that and dive into those things. And then let the when they get to high school, then let them do the sort of basic solid coursework. You know, if you do have a kid who, like, maybe they're really into biology, maybe they are reading like high level stuff about genetics or something.
Right.
They still take AP Bio in 9th grade or 10th grade or something in order to get that in-depth, big overview, check all the boxes, you know, and it will be easier for them, and then they can move on and do the next thing.
I think one of the issues here is that as parents, right, you see all the hard work your kid's doing, and then you think, well, I need something to validate that, or I need something where they can show that they've done all that hard work.
They should get credit for it.
Yeah, they need to get credit. It's not valid unless there's something after the hard work.
No, it is so valid though. It's so valid.
It's valid just as a learning experience.
Yes,
in and
absolutely.
of itself.
Yeah.
And it's valid because it's moving your kid up a level in their thinking skills and that, even if they don't have anything to show for it.
And the thing that we've seen with some students who are gifted is that they burn out. Like, so then they're going. They get to 9th grade, they keep going, and then they get to 10th grade or sometimes junior year, and they just crash because they've already done a bunch of high-level AP courses or dual enrollment. They've done something at a really high level, and it's a lot. Like
it's almost like they've been doing it for so long, over and over again, and then they just wake up one day and they're like, I'm done. I mean, I think in one way they lose interest too.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you have a junior who wants to go into creative writing, and you don't have much on the transcript for that. Right. And it looks a little odd because they did all this high level stuff prior to that.
And then it looks like they've sort of taken a step back because really junior year is the most important year. That's where you want all of your big coursework to be. If you exhaust your options before junior year, or if you burn your kid out by having them take, you know, these really high level courses, because they're work intensive too. Yeah. That's the thing, is that a middle schooler, they may be able to do, you know, maybe they're super gifted, they can do like AP Physics C with calculus and all this stuff in middle school, but actually taking the course means they have to do all of the work. And every once in a while there's a kid who really needs this challenge, but very rare. And I would be really hesitant to do it.
The other thing too I would throw in here is that a lot of middle schoolers aren't stuck knee deep in puberty, where they get tired easier, they need downtime, friends become more important. You know, all this other things are coming into it. And suddenly they don't want to work that hard for like 4 courses, you know, and it's just too much. Yeah, I agree. So you got to take that all into account. Just because a middle schooler can do something doesn't mean they should do something. So I think the big takeaway here is like that you want what is our takeaway? Well, I think it's that you want to enjoy middle school. Like you shouldn't, and so does your student should enjoy. Yes, everyone should enjoy. So that they go into high school with a really positive attitude and a lot of confidence, thinking, "Yeah, I can do this." Yeah, and also that for the homeschool parent, that you go in thinking you can do this, because I think some parent, we meet with so many parents of 8th graders who are freaking out, and like, which, I mean, did you freak out? A little, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's normal. It is normal, and it not only. I always say to them, this is the height of stress. I mean, there's literally applying to college. Yes, exactly. Those two things. Those are the 2 points of like high stress, and I think also parents are often deciding whether or not they should send their student to school. Yes. Oh, that's a big topic. Like, can I do this? You know, if I let them homeschool high school, will they get into colleges? Right. It's very. Can I provide them with the best? Am I going to mess it up? Yes. You know, and how do credits even work? I would say real quick, all these kinds of things. You definitely can do it. Yes. You won't mess them up, and they will get into colleges. Yeah. Absolutely. So take that off your plate. Yes. Take that completely off your plate. I love that it was so easy, Jill. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for joining us. But it is. I think. But it's true. It is true. Go in with confidence. I mean, if they want to go to school, that's different. Like yes, and if you are ready to send them, or you're burned out, or you're burned out, it's a ton of other kids. Yes. And I mean, go ahead. There's, But there's a lot of ways to do it. There's to homeschool and have it work, and you can outsource everything. You can keep things at home for a while, and I would say too, like some parents
at this point feel like everything has to change about their homeschool, and there's a sort of
I think they
sadness.
almost feel pressured to that.
Yeah, I do too.
You feel this, especially if you get on all the Facebook groups or the homeschool groups online.
Ours included.
I know, ours included. I hate to say it, but don't get on those too much at that point.
Yeah.
Just step back.
I would say it really, like in my household, it was really a slow transition. And in ninth grade, we
did most of it.
We did do most of it at home. Now we outsourced some things. But it was like a first step in a transition. It wasn't that we suddenly everything had to change. And I'm glad that we did that. And I guess I would just say, you don't have to turn everything over.
I will say that in my house.
Yeah, you did. I know, but that's okay. That's what there's
in
options.
My household. Yeah. It changed, which is fine too.
Yeah. Oh,
but don't feel pressured to do it.
No.
Because actually, in the long scheme of things, ninth grade isn't super important either.
And I think that's the thing to know going in as well.
Yeah.
And then we're going to talk about that in our next episode.
Yeah.
That it's not as scary as you think it's going to be. It's not as much work as you think it's going to be. And it doesn't have to be this massive change. It's a slow transition, just like every other year.
I would also say that if you make a few mistakes in ninth grade with planning or decisions you made, it's not going to matter.
Right.
You can change course in 10th grade. 11th grade is the most important, junior year.
Mm-hmm.
Ninth grade, your student can still explore different things and everything, so don't stress too much about it.
About it going in, and about making that decision going in.
I think it's good to have a plan before ninth grade starts of some sort.
Oh, absolutely.
But,
I think that's part of what, and you do want to look at what your student did in middle school and build on that.
And what they're interested in.
What they're
telling you they want to study.
That's why you need to explore those interests in middle school a little bit and give them a chance. I think some parents think, okay, I have to front load into middle school, more grammar, more math, more, information in order for my kid to be ready for high school.
Yeah.
But there's actually, there are, it's not as overwhelming as all that, but there are requirements in high school.
Definitely.
And so that's why you should sort of play around in middle school so that they can figure out if they want to write a novel or build a bridge or
whatever. Play, go in the music
game. Start a band.
Here's something I think everyone should do in middle school. I think, and this just came to me.
Oh, okay.
This is my new piece of advice. Have your student exposed to one thing that they've never been interested in and never wanted to do, and see if they like it.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Like, they never thought about philosophy. Let's take a little philosophy course and see if you like it.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just something completely different.
They didn't know they wanted to do paleontology.
And then they did. It's a good time to just show them something different.
To do something really different. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Go off the beaten track a little bit.
I'm going to suggest that to all our parents from now on.
I think that's
our
good.
new thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just one thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's, you keep it kind of simple too in middle school. You don't have to, this is why I would sort of, this is why I liked like short stories in middle school instead of whole novels. It would be like, because, we have this big long reading list. It's a lot of pressure, but it's, and there was plenty of time for that in high school.
And middle school kids love short stories.
Oh, absolutely. And the same thing too, like contests are really good in middle school, and because kids tend to get invested in them, contests and competitions.
Which you can find online, but also locally.
Oh, yeah,
there's a lot of great stuff locally.
Yes, but like library essay contests and things
I think if you can find somewhere to do like a little internship or
I made my
teaching assistants.
Yeah.
I have a middle school kid who's my TA in a book club.
Yes.
Absolutely loves it. It's the best thing.
I made my kids do an 8th grade internship.
Yeah, good for confidence.
Yeah.
I find that.
And one of my kids, he thought he wanted to go into business, which that's not where he is now. But
at
that age, he thought, I'm going to be a businessman. And I got him like a little internship, quote unquote, where he, for a couple weeks, went in to work with this guy who was a local homeschool dad who owned a bunch of businesses. And he went and he went, and the first day he came home and I'm like, what did you do? He was like, I sorted credit card receipts. Like, it was super exciting. and I know, right?
Awesome.
But the guy took him also to like a small business convention that was going on, and I mean it was like a really good experience.
That's really great.
If
you can find those opportunities.
If you can find those kinds of, you know, and he was just kind of shadowing, but I mean it was good for him. I think things like that are really good for middle school.
I think that's excellent. I think it's so good for confidence. Mm-hmm. I think it exposes them to a different side of things.
Yeah.
Like in my TA in my book club is running the chat.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, this is really hard. Like, sometimes kids get out of control. I'm like, I know. He's like, wow, it's hard to be a teacher.
Appreciation.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, the final thing is like, you know, an 8th grade year to me is, you know, Spanish 1, Algebra 1, and then a bunch of random stuff that catch your kid reading and writing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and doing an essay by the end.
Exploring and, you know, just doing stuff.
Doing stuff, exploring what you're really interested in, finding opportunities in the community, I think is always really good in middle school. So then you have, because it kind of changes when you get to high school, you know, you may not have a homeschool group to like socialize with.
You want to have a group. You want your kid to have social connections.
That's not necessarily homeschool based.
Yes.
Because those homeschool groups with teens start dropping.
They do. And so I think that's why it's good to have those, like, the outside activities, you know, the theater, the orchestra, the band, the robotics club, the robotics team,
4-H,
the 4-H,
Boy Scouts,
all of those things are excellent for having your friend group not be 100% homeschool based.
Yeah, because it just gets harder and harder, and then as teens go up, you know, by junior year they're doing so much work, it's hard to even go to those parties.
Oh yeah, it's really difficult, and it's hard to, you know, especially for a kid who's really college bound, it's hard to devote time, and you don't have time to look for those friendships. Whereas in middle school, you can look for those friendships and, you know,
which
create
actually
those bonds.
Yeah, you should prioritize that.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Well, I'm trying to think. Anything else for middle school?
I think that's all our good.
Let them sleep.
Oh yeah.
If they're starting puberty, let them sleep in.
Be ready for that transition when they get kind of spacey.
Or, you know, a little rebellious.
Oh yeah, that too. And I guess also the best advice I had, so like I was a middle school teacher for years.
Right.
And I worked with this woman, and there was this crop of parents and kids that we had a lot of trouble with one spring. The kids were having trouble, the parents were having trouble too, like adjusting to the kids having trouble. And I know. And I remember the assistant principal, she and I had this conversation, and she was the parent of older kids who were, you know, launched and off in college and stuff. And she said, you know, I always knew that my kids would change. Mm-hmm. She said, I always expected them to change. Right. Some of these parents didn't realize their kids would become teenagers, which I just, you know.
Which I would add to that, if you think you have a STEM kid and they've been STEM this whole time, they may change.
They may change, yes. It's not just, I mean, it's not just their attitude and their friends and their interests can change.
Dramatically.
Like, they can flip. So just be ready for that.
Okay, so here's my biggest piece of advice.
Be open to it.
Going from middle school and to high school is really start listening to your kid. Mm-hmm. Sit them down, ask what they want to do.
Yes, they should be involved in the planning process.
Yeah, they should have a voice, and step back a little bit and allow it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, at the end of the day, it's still up to you and everything, but I really think the more you allow kids some control over this process, the better it's going to